Hey y'all, we back. Welcome back. I gotta do a little happy dance because y'all know it was rough, okay? So I actually want to do a story time. I know, like, okay, I'm all happy and chipper and stuff, and y'all might think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I promise I'm not crazy. Yes, last week happened, but it's over now. That's in the past. It has passed. So I'm just going on with my life, okay? And that's literally how I usually am about everything. Like, stuff be happening, and I just be like, okay, I'm going to deal with it in a moment, and I just move on with my life. So, I wanted to tell y'all, I don't know why I'm compelled to tell y'all this particular story. We don't have no snacks today. I got some water, though, at my H2O. My new water bottle that I love. Y'all, I don't know why I'm compelled to tell y'all this story, but I'm about to tell y'all this story. I think I was like a senior in high school. I was either a senior or a junior. I can't remember. So I'm riding in the car with my younger brother. Not my brother DJ, but my brother Michael. And this guy I was dating at the time. For him, he will be no name because they don't get no clout over here. The guy I was dating was driving the car. I was in the passenger seat. My brother Michael was behind me, right? So I knew my brother Michael used to be into stuff. He used to do stuff. I knew that, okay? I mean, he went to jail when we was kids, y'all. He got locked up when we was kids. So, I mean, I know that he used to be into stuff, right? Now, this particular day, did I know that him and the guy I was dating had stuff going on? I did not. I don't remember how we end up somehow he ended up in a car with us. I don't even remember how or what. We might have ran him to the store or something. I don't know. At this point, we was all in a car together. And we was on our way back to my mom's house. This is when we lived over by the airport off of Reading. I want to say that street was Reading that we used to live off of. It was off of Reading. What's the other name of what's the main street? Not Sheridan. Or is it Sheridan? It might have been Sheridan. I can't remember what that main street's name was. But we was heading back home over there, right? So as we riding, cop get behind us. I don't know why. And turn his lights on. So they start freaking out. And I'm like, why y'all freaking out for? Because I know my ex's mom, how she is. So I know she made sure the insurance is paid for. Everything is taken care of. So I'm like, what he tripping for? Because everything should be everything on a car. Like, I don't even know why they would be pulling us over. He might have ran a stop sign or something. It was like something too stupid, right? And they freaking out. And so my brother goes, oh, no, I can't go back to jail. You're going to have to take the charge. Excuse me. Say the what now? And then he proceeds to throw some weed up in the front by me, y'all. People ask me all the time why I don't fool with my family, why I'm a loner, basically, and what I'm about to tell y'all, this story is a prime example. Because even after this, y'all, we was cool, whatever. And I'll circle back and tell y'all why I finally just cut him off altogether. And so he threw it up there, y'all. And I'm like, what the heck? So my natural instincts was like, girl, you just gonna have to push it up there. You're gonna have to push it up there. I was like, you don't have any priors, so they're probably not gonna like really search you. Just push it up there, right? So as I am going to do this, y'all, there are so many sticks in this weed, and it hurt so bad, y'all. But I got it up there, and I did it quick. quick before he could even make it to the him and his partners could even make it to. That's how quick this is all happening, okay? Before it, quicker than they could even walk up with their flashlights, because it was at nighttime. Like, it was night, okay? It was dark. And so my natural instincts just kicked in. I just swooped it up and was like, you know, I'm cussing and stuff, like, you got me, you dirty, da 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 da. And I just shoved it up there, okay? Like, it was hard because, again, it hurt. It had sticks and stuff, but I went ahead and I put it up there, because I'm like, is this or get a charge for you know? And so they walk up to the car. The police come up to the car, let the windows down. He told them to let my window down, and the back window down, so they could see everything. And so one of the officers, he's like, wait, don't you go to school with my daughter? And I was like, oh yeah, I think so, yeah. And he said, Booker T, right? And I was like, yeah, I do go to Booker T. And he was like, oh, okay. And he was like, step out of the car. I'm like, why are you making me step out of the car? Like, I'm thinking we cool, because I know your daughter. You know my people. I know your people. You know? And I'm worried, like, that this is going to fall out, because I didn't get it all the way up there because of how many sticks was in there. And again, it hurt. But I got it enough to where I could, like, use my Kegels to, like, hold it in place. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's up there, but it ain't up there. Okay? And so, y'all, he asked me to get out the car. I'm like, why he ain't asking none of them to get out the car? So I get out the car. His partner is talking to my ex and stuff, asking, like, where y'all going and all this stuff. And he was like, well, you know, I'm just taking my girl and her brother home, all that stuff. So I walk around the car and he was like, what are you doing with these two? And I was like, what do you mean? I said, that's my younger brother and that's my boyfriend. And he was like, you shouldn't be hanging out with them. And I don't know if they had prior interactions with these two. I don't know. I'll never know. Okay? But I was just like, well, I mean, I'm kind of forced to have interaction with my brother. That's my brother. We live in the same house. And he was just like, you're a good kid. I don't want to see you go down the wrong path. And I was like, understood. And that's when he then proceeds to ask me, he was like, what are y'all really doing? I said, we're just going home. And we weren't that far. We weren't that far from my house, but y'all, we used to have curfew. In Tulsa, we had curfew at night. And so after a certain time, we couldn't even be outside. So I think we might have actually been breaking curfew, if I remember correctly. But since my ex was already older and he was in college, and we were with him technically because he's the driver, they let us go. So as soon as I walk back to the car, mind you, I got these sticks and stuff up there, and it's uncomfortable. I'm walking and it's uncomfortable. I am pissed. Okay, I get back in the car. My ex is asking me, he's like, what did they ask you? What they say to you? And you really know his daughter? And da 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 da. I was like, so, and I'm like, yeah, I really do know his daughter. Like, his daughter really do go to Booker T. And I said, he told me that I shouldn't be hanging out with y'all. That's what he told me. And he was like, man, fuck yeah. All that, you know, all that exchange, whatever, right? As soon as we pull off, though, and I know they probably seen that car rocking. Baby, I jumped over that seat on my brother and was, you bitch. Like, I was going, you B.A. this. Why would you do that? You trying to give me a record? And I was hot. Okay? I was hot. Then he had the nerve to say, give me my stuff back. I said, oh no. Remember, I got to take a charge for this. So this is mine now. And it's crazy because later on, a few years later, we were all sitting and talking, I think with my cousin Brian or whatever, me and Michael and my cousin Brian, and he started bragging, hey, remember that time when we got pulled over and I threw that weed up there by you? Like it was a funny laughing matter. And I was like, you know that could have literally ruined my life. I could have ended up with a record for something, because y'all know if nobody claim it, we all gonna go down for it, right? Y'all know that, right? It's the rule of the game. If it's something just in the car, don't nobody know, y'all all going down for it. And I was like, I'd rather take the risk of putting it up there, you know, and just, you know, whatever, because they didn't search me or nothing. They searched them. And so then my brother, that's when he goes, well, see, but they didn't even search you. I knew they wasn't going to search you. You didn't know nothing. You didn't know nothing. Had I been somebody that had been in a system or anything like that, or, you know, who knows? And I've been, y'all, there is this page on Instagram, and it's Toss Some Mugshots. And I don't know why it popped up, or what made it recommend for me, but somehow it popped up as a recommendation. And y'all, I've been looking at it, and I seen someone that I knew from church. They grew up with me in a church, y'all, and it just broke my little heart to see him like that, because he was so smart. He was so intelligent. And it was for like public intoxication or whatever, while jaywalking or whatever. But one stupid thing changed his whole life, because he wanted to follow behind his bigger cousins. When you live in that world, it is so easy to get caught up in it. You are surrounded by it. Your family, your friends, like it's suffocating. It's suffocating. And when you don't partake in the things and all of that, then you think you too good, or Miss Goody Two Shoes, or you become green, what was it? It was a lot of different. Sorry, out of camera shaking. It was a lot of different. A lot of different stuff. Like, you lame. Like, you had all kind of things to say, you know, when you did not partake in the stuff. But for me, it was always mind over matter, because I knew that I wanted to get out of here. But were there times and situations where things could have went a whole different way for me? There was. There definitely was. And so when that situation happened, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I was like, I'll never get in another car with him again. And I didn't. I never did. And my ex at the time was like, that's your brother, you can't be mad at him. I was like, no. I said, do you realize what could have happened to me on a court? I said, and I had nothing to do. I didn't even know y'all had this in here. I didn't even know y'all was doing none of this. I was not aware of none of this. But in that moment, it showed me that it was every man for himself, right? Even you can't even trust your family members. That was one of the instances that showed me you can't even trust your family members. So fast forward to 2021 or 2022. This is when we start meeting my biological father's children, okay? One of them reached out. He really wanted to know his older siblings. And so DJ, my little brother DJ, he reached out. He really wanted to know his older siblings and stuff. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, like, let's connect and stuff. And so he came and he stayed with me. And it might have been like 2021. This might have been 2021, maybe. I can't remember, y'all. To be honest, these years have just flown by. After all this stuff, you know, this stuff, because apparently you can't say the word, but the stuff. And so the 2020 stuff, the 19 stuff, I was like, yeah, come on, you know, you can come down for a little bit, get your little job. He was telling me he needs to make some money. He was in a situation, he was in a bind and all this other stuff. And he and my biological father and his wife, they had moved from Detroit back to Tulsa. And he was like, I really don't want to be here. And I was like, I can understand. You know, if you want a different life for yourself, come on. If you're really serious and you really want a different life for yourself, come on. Because I grew up in those streets. I know how those streets are for a black man. So, yeah, come on, you know. Get out those streets and come on. And so when he came down, I realized, like, he lacked a lot of male guidance. And so even though he grew up in a household with our father, he lacked a lot of male guidance. There was things that he was questions and stuff he was asking me, you know, that I couldn't answer because I'm not a man. And so I don't really know how to answer that or how to help him with that because, again, I'm not a man. I may be older than him, but I'm not a man. And so I reached out to my brother Michael because he lived here in Dallas too. And I was like, hey, you know, can you spend some time with DJ? You know, maybe he can come stay with you a couple days out the week or whatever, because he's just really, he's not behaving the way that he should be. He said he wanted a new life for himself and all of this. And to be honest, y'all, I was really worried to even make this phone call because the way that my brother Michael had been living, it's like you moved to a whole new city, but to the same environment. And it was crazy to me, like, why did you even leave Tulsa to just move here and get involved with the same mess that you could have been involved with back there? You moved here for a new life, right? And so I was, you know, skeptical. I was skeptical about it. But I was like, he's still a man, and he was raised by my uncles and all that stuff, our stepdads and all that. So I was like, he knows more. He can answer these questions for DJ. You know, he can help DJ with this stuff. And so when I called him and stuff, and he was like, no, daddy was in the house with him when he was growing up. He had our daddy. I didn't have my daddy. So he should have got that from him. And it came from like a really bitter place. I just threw lint everywhere, y'all. I'm sorry, but I just looked and noticed like it's lint everywhere on my shirt. But it was so bitter, y'all. It just disgusted me. When I say disgusted me, baby, it disgusted me. And I said, this is your brother. This is your flesh and blood. Are you serious? You're telling me you would rather throw him to the wolves because you didn't grow up in the household with your... And granted, when my parents divorced, I was 8. My brother Michael was like, 2 years younger than me? So he was probably like 6. So maybe he really did not remember our biological father just that much. And there were times when him and my younger sister, they would go and try to walk and meet him and stuff. And when they knew that he would be in town, and he would basically like play on them, like, you know, he would diss them, you know. And so I guess he still had resentment and hurt because of that. But, you know, as I explained to him in that call, I said, DJ didn't do it to you. He's not responsible for what Michael Dale did to you. That's something you need to take up with Michael Dale. I said, you don't punish him because of something that Michael Dale did. And he was like, I don't care, I don't give a blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? I said, don't ever speak to me again. I said, from this day forward, don't ever speak to me again. I said, because, and this was like literally the final straw for me, y'all, because I was really like, this man is selfish. Let's not even, I mean, he was a teenager when that stuff happened with the weed. So I'm like, you know what? He ain't old and too grown yet to really understand. You know what I mean? He was a kid. He was stupid. He was young. Men are dumb. And so that's what I was thinking. You know, and I just got over it, whatever. He apologized eventually, I think, and I just got over it, whatever, right? But when you're sitting here telling me that you will throw our younger brother, and I think DJ might have been like, yeah, it would definitely have to be 2021 because DJ was like 19 at the time. And he just turned 25 this year. And I was just like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you hurt him when you know how it feels to be left out in the cold, left out in... And so, you know, I ultimately end up telling my brother DJ, I was like, I'm gonna have to send you back home because I can't help you. Like, I want to help you, but I don't have anybody around me that can be of influence to you, that can help you. And he was just like, I understand, because he was doing dumb stuff. This boy then walked to the corner store asking people, talking about they know where to get weed and all kind of stuff. Like, I said, sir, this is not the neighborhood you gonna be asking nobody you know where to get some weed from. I said, they gonna call the police on you. Like, are you crazy? And, you know, dealing with my neighbors and all that stuff, and I'm like, we don't do that. We don't do that. He said, I'm gonna go play the game with them. We don't do that. We say hi, bye, and keep it moving. That's how your house get robbed. That's how people break into your stuff. So I was like, hey, you can't do that. So, you know, I had him filling out job applications and all this other stuff. But again, I was just like, the blood from your life cannot be on my hand. I said, if you stay here with me, I said, you're going to end up either in jail or you're going to end up in jail. You're going to end up incarcerated or you're going to end up unalived. And I can't have the blood from your life on my hands. I love you. You are my younger sibling, but I can't do it. I said, I got to put you on a bus and get you back home. And so that's what I did. I sent him right back to our biological father. And, you know, at first he was upset. But then later on, he was like, you know, I actually understand why you did what you did, because I was doing crash out stuff. He really was. And when I would try to talk to him and we were talking and we were, you know, the stuff he was saying to me, I'm like, DJ, I can't answer that. I don't know what gives a man meaning. I don't know how man finds his purpose. I can't answer none of those questions. But I can tell you that what you're doing is not smart. What you're doing is, you know, it's gonna lead to being unalived or incarcerated. I can tell you that. But you do need male influence. Our biological father was an alcoholic, y'all. So it's like, my daddy gave me my first drink when I was 2, and I still remember it. And it's crazy because they say once you hit 10, you know, you lose certain type of memories and stuff. But y'all, that's a memory I'll never forget. It was a Malt 44. Ain't that what they call Malt 44? It was a Malt something, a 40, a Malt 40, whatever. And we were at his friend's house. They were having a little kickback, and we were sitting on this couch. It was music playing. The light was off in the living room, but the light was on in the dining room area. And so it was like that type of lit, like the lighting, you know. I still remember all of that. The ugly tan and brown couch we were sitting on. I remember all of that. Okay? And I remember asking him, like, Daddy, what's that? And he was like, you want to try some? And he gave me a drink of alcohol, y'all, at 2. And the crazy thing is, now that I know that, or I might have been 3. I was like 2 or 3. But the crazy thing is, now that I know that they had just got back custody of me, it's crazy that he would have gave me alcohol, knowing that they had went through this whole custody battle and all of this stuff, you know. And you literally just got me back in your custody and you gonna give me alcohol? Are you crazy? That's a story for another day, y'all. But anyway, so, you know, he just wasn't that great of an influence. And the things, you know, DJ expressed to me, he told me about what was going on in the household and all that stuff. I understood and I felt for him. That's why I was like, yeah, come on down here. Come to Texas. Come on. You can sleep on my couch until you figure it out. But when he got here, the stuff he was doing, it wasn't good for him. And he didn't know really what he should be doing as a man. What should I be doing? And I'm like, I can't tell you that. As a man, I can tell you that you should get a job. I can tell you, you know, because he was engaged to a girl at the time, Kia. And so he wanted to, you know, make a life for them, to start a family and all that. And I'm like, okay, you know, first thing, a man got to have a job so he can take care of his family. You know, I can tell him that stuff, but I can't tell him about dealing with the daily days of a man. I can't answer that. And so, yeah. And so I disowned Michael after that, because he showed me that after all these years, he had not learned anything. He's still doing the same thing. And so DJ the other day, he was like, you know, you got to forgive him. You got to this. I forgave him. And I'm like, no. You gotta, when people show you who they are, you gotta believe them. And that's just where the point I have gotten to. He showed me who he was. And if he would do that to you, what's to say he wouldn't do that to me or do that to my child? I mean, he already showed me when he was younger. When he threw that stuff under, it looked crooked now, but whatever. When he threw that weed up at the front seat with me, because I'm clean, I'm gonna be all right, I'm gonna take the charge. It's my first offense. No. And so stuff like that, I experienced so many incidents like that. So much conniving stuff like that at the hand of the people that were supposed to be my family. These people were supposed to be my family, but what I realized, what I have grown to realize, is survival will make people do the craziest things. Survival will bring the ugly out of people. And for him, he was just trying to survive. And surviving for him was at my expense. What if it had not been somebody that I just so happened to know, that I just so happened to go to school with their daughter? You know, my life could have been so different. And I say that all the time, but y'all, really, my life could have turned out so different. It could have turned out so differently. All it would have took was one thing. And so, yes, baby, when I say God was, it couldn't have been nobody but God. Nobody but God got me here. Nobody but God. And I'll never deter away from him just because of how far he's brought me so far. I know what my life could have been. When I was sleeping in the bed at my best friend's house and a rival gang from her brothers them came and shot the house up and bullets went right over our head. We woke up to bullet holes because her room was on the front, right over our heads where we were sleeping. What if we had woken up? What if we had just happened to twitch the wrong way? I know that God got me. He done showed me time and time again. That's all I know. But anywho, y'all. Alright, because Carrie get ready to come out. So I will see y'all next week, because we rolling again. Y'all, I got locked out of my Amazon account. Oh my God, that was horrible. Because my old phone number was on there and it kept trying to do second authentication or something like that. What was it called? Second verification. I can't remember, but I had apparently set my old phone number up to be the one to receive the code, and I could not get into my account. I mean, I could have called the person like, hey, they just sent you a text message, can you give me that code? But they probably would have been like, no. Because Destiny had told me that she called it on accident and was really talking like, yeah, girl, this and this and this and this. And then the dude was like, this is not Ashley. I said, I feel for him, because I know people probably be blowing his phone up trying to find me, baby, trying to get a hold of me, baby. But they blocked. And they can't get back. Anybody that needs to know, they know. Anybody that need my new information, they got it. Anybody else? Toodles. Even my company's phone, my bills and all that, ain't nobody got my new number, because don't nobody need it. Peace. This season is called peace. But all right, y'all. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.